Okay, I am going to teach you how to loom knit ballet socks, and we're going to go through some formula. Now this one has the most complex formula and figuring to it because you're going to be decreasing a section and working flat for a little more than half the sock, and also in order for it not to roll and do weird stuff, you have to add in a either garter stitch or rib stitch edging to all around it, okay, to keep it nice and smooth and sticking to your foot like it should. Okay, so here's how you're going to do it. You're still going to need your stitches per inch. You're still going to need your rows per inch with your swatch. For this one, I'm actually using a single strand of fingering weight with the 1/4 inch gauge, which changes up my typical stitch work that I've been doing for most of this. And so if you need to see this on a round loom, I did a couple of years ago a ballet sock on a round loom, and you can kind of follow that video if you want, but this one's kind of an updated version. Okay, so to figure out your pegs, I am using a fingering weight, so I needed to do 7 stitches per inch, and it ended up being 63. Instead of rounding up, I decided to round down to 60 as kind of a standard. And then I did my calculations from there. So anywhere close to that 63. So taking out 3 pegs wasn't a huge thing. Alright, so then I do number of pegs divided by 2 equals number A. What number A is half the loom? And that's where you're going to work your heel and toe. Now, number A divided by 3 is number B. Number B is what you decrease down to, and also what you'll bind off at when you're going to ready to get started to work flat. You're going to bind off that many as well. You need to figure out your end step, which is your rows per inch, which is 12 rows for me, times the end step, which is 6.5 inches, equals number C, which is the total rows for your end step. Well, you'll need to divide number C by 2 to get number D, and number D is the total of number of rows you'll do for the toe, then the total number of rows you will do after the toe flat before you start your heel. Okay, now you'll need to do number A divided by 7 equals number E. Alright, and number E is the number of pegs or rows to do garter or rib stitch around the edge of the sock. These are things to keep in mind. So you'll do number D minus number E equals number F. And I need to actually change that. So that number F is actually the number of rows you do in the round after your toe before. So number D minus number E equals number F, and that's the number of rows you're going to do after you do your toe. Okay, so here's the numbers I got, so you know what I'm doing. My number A is 30 because I'm using 60 pegs. My number B is 10, so I'm going to be decreasing down to 10. My number C is 78, and my number D is 40 because I rounded up. And my number E is 4, and my number F is 36. Now, what this means, because I'm doing 7 stitches per inch with 12 rows per inch with a 9-inch ball and a 6.5 inch end step after the toe and heel are completed. Okay, so what I am doing, I'm going to do a fish lips or kiss toe, as I'll call it, and heel. Alright, and I'm going to do a Kitchener cast on, so it's going to be a toe up, because the Kitchener cast on is actually the best method when doing a ballet sock. Alright, now as you can see, I've already done one, and this is mostly to get the filming done quicker. So as you can see, I've done a fish lips here, a fish lips kiss toe here in a short row, and I did it down to 10, and I've already tightened my Kitchener cast on, and I usually do that after I do 20 rows. Alright, and you can see what it's looking like so far. And what I've done is I worked up to those 4 rows that I'm supposed to be doing, where you add in a rib stitch before you do your bind off, so that you don't have curling at the edges of the sock. That's your challenge there. Alright, so what we're going to do is, you can see I'm going to be doing 2 at a time. I'm using the 1/34 inch gauge universal Cindywood loom. I'm using a single strand of Elise stretch yarn, okay, and to keep in mind, I'm doing the Kitchener cast on. You could do the magic cast on, and honestly I would have done that, but I'm trying to show you different ways you can do a cast on method, okay. So what you want to do is, you want to be usually doing, if you're going to do 2 socks at a time like this, you want your starting point to be on the same side, so here and here. And then you want your other side to be here and here. So when you're doing this side, you want to start your weave here, but when you're doing this side, you want to start your weave here, because your starting point is going to be here. Alright, if that makes any sense. So you go your halfway point, and what you're going to do is you're going to stick the tail in there, and then you're going to wrap front to back, front to back. Then you're going to go over directly to that side peg, as you can see there, and then you're going to wrap, try best you can not to wrap it from front to back. Then you're just going to do this all the way across, making sure you're doing front to back, all the way to the other side. Do not change it. If you change it when you go to tighten it, it'll mess up your mojo, as I call it. So make sure it goes the same direction. Alright. And you get less waste yarn when you do it like this with the long loom. And there's people who will do it kind of cockeyed, but I don't. I always do it where one half of the loom is working the toe, like literally this half of this half. I don't like doing it off a little bit. Just keeps it easier. Okay. So what you're going to do now, is you're going to knit a single round, and this sets up your Kitchener. And I actually started it the wrong direction, but knowing me, it doesn't matter. You need to just, you can get back the direction you want to get. So you want to go ahead and knit 1 row around, and if you get it to where it does that, just make sure it goes right back on the way you had it, okay? So you're going to toss it over and be as careful as possible. You can do the U-knit if you want. I just don't when it comes to the spline of gauge of loom. Alright. So you're just going to knit all the way around. You need to make sure your tail gets held, because that's how you can lose your starting point. And for this side, it's going to be a little more difficult. If you're doing the other side, it's a little easier because you got a holding pin. Okay, once you get around those end ones, you can probably just get started again. Okay. And just toss the rest of the way over. Okay, here I am at my last one. Alright, now because I like go the other direction, getting your cast on set up, you can do what I did, but once you're ready to start going, if you mess up and you end up going the direction you don't want to, it's alright, you can recover yourself. Okay, so what I'm going to do here So I'm gonna kind of skip this one, slip it, okay? So I'm gonna slip that first one. I'm gonna knit my way over. Now, if you want, you can knit it, okay? So you can just knit it like that. All right. You can count that as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and this is where you're going to do the twin knit, as I call it, okay? And what that means is you're going to take this stitch off, as you can see it, and try to be gentle, and you're going to take that stitch off, pull the working yarn in front of it, the peg, and then you're going to put it right back where it goes. All right, let's kind of pull that. All right, and that puts it right back where it goes, and then you're going to slip it. Don't worry, I'll show it again. You're going to knit your way back to your starting point. Okay, and here we are at our starting point, and what you'll do is you'll take that top stitch. It's easier to hold your working yarn back rather than in front. You take that first stitch, pull it back, pull the working yarn in front of the peg, and then put that stitch back. All right, that is a twin knit, and then you end up with 2 stitches. And it does not, this is a really nice method that it doesn't give you holes in your toes. So now you're going to knit just before your last twin knit, and this is like any standard short row toe. I'll show you more than I normally would because it may be a little hard to see. But you can always go to my 7 short rows method video, and it shows how to do a twin knit. So I'll see if I can show this a little better on this next one. Alright, so you want to hold it on the inside of the loom, your working yarn on the inside of the loom, okay? Now, see if I can get it to focus in. There. I'm going to pull this top stitch. I'm going to pull that top stitch over. Then you're going to put your working yarn in front of that peg and then place it right back. All right. Then you're going to knit your way over to just before the last twin knit, and then I'll show you how to do that one. Then I'll tell you pause the video and twin knit yourself down to 10 single stitches between your twin knits, which should be a total of 20 twin knits, okay? I'll try to show this as best I can. Okay, and it gets a little easier to recognize when you get out of these edge stitches. Okay, keep your working yarn in the middle of the loom. Camera likes a finger to focus on. See if I can get it to. Okay, you find that top stitch, pull it over. Send your working yarn in front and place the stitch back. All right, then you knit your way over. All right, And that is how you do a twin knit, okay? And you're going to twin knit down to 10 total stitches. Alright, so I'm going to tell you to pause the video and get yourself down to 10 single stitches with no twin knits, okay, on your half your loom. Alright, which means you should have a total of 20 10 knits, 10 on either side of your single stitches. Okay, pause the video, get your decrease down done, and then I will show you how to finish the increase, do the increase out, and then we'll get started on the bulk of the sock. We have completed, and you'll see that there's 10 single stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and you'll have twin stitches all the way here and all the way here. Alright, now we need to start our increase, but we need to prep for our increase. And what you'll notice with your let's see if I can get it to focus in here. What you'll notice is it has a really nice, almost blended side-to-side decrease. Alright, so in order to do that, in the original fish lips, she does what she calls a boomerang, but I do it a little differently. I just actually do a knit round, and technically it should be 2 rounds, but for this I'm only going to do 1 round. Okay, so I'm going to slip that last twin knit that I did, and I'm just going to knit all the way back around to here. And what you'll do to your first twin knit that you did, you're going to knit your way all the way back to here, getting ready to do a twin knit here again, and I'll explain how to do that. Okay, so you're going to toss both those loops over on those twin knits. Alright, you're just going to work all the way around, and you're going to toss both the loops over on all your twin knits. Remember to still be gentle because you're still dealing with a tail here. And you can yank on that a little bit just to get it snugged back up. Okay. And it'll come through when you get ready. Okay. And then you're just going to knit your way over. And then you're back at your starting point, so you'll knit those twin stitches over. Okay, and here's where you're going to count your way back. You're going to count 20. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And you are back to increasing. Okay, so you go work your way all the way around, and then you're going to count 20 over, which is 10 and 10, so that your last 10 you kind of are starting your increase. And what you're going to do is you're going to pull that next stitch over just one of those, because I know you'll have 2 stitches you tossed over. You just need to pull one back over. It doesn't matter which one. And you're going to knit your way 10 over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Then you're going to twin knit, and you just want to pull just one over. It doesn't matter which one of those 2 stitches you pull over. You just want to pull one over. Alright, and then what you want to do is you want to slip that stitch you just twin knitted and knit your way over. Then when you get to that twin knit, you're going to knit those 2 stitches together, and then you're going to twin knit the next peg. Alright, slip that stitch you just twin knitted, and then knit your way over. Knit those two, that twin knit peg together. Alright, knit those two stitches together, then twin knit the next peg, and you can kind of see the patterning developing here. Slip that twin knit peg and then knit your way over. Knit the two stitches together, and then slip, twin knit the next peg, slip that twin knit peg and knit your way over. And you're just going to do this until you hit those outer 30 pegs. You're going to continue this process until you hit your edge 30, and I'll show what that is. And if you're doing this in another size, you decrease down to that number that you figured out, and you're just gonna go about this in a very similar manner because you're creating a toe. So you're gonna twin knit, alright, and then you're just gonna go back and increasing. You want to keep increasing until you do to this peg and this peg, which is your 30 on this half the loom you're working on. Okay, you're going to have this twin knitted and this twin knitted, okay? And what's going to happen, because this is the first side, this is going to be your last twin knit that happens, okay? So when we go in and get, when you're going to go in, you're going to knit around and get that one, you're going to just knit all the way around, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video, increase out to your last two pegs on your outer ends, okay, of your toe or heel side, whichever side you're doing, and then I will show you how to finish up doing the toe, and then we'll be ready to work on start working on the bulk of the sock. Okay, I have my last twin stitch here. There it goes. There's a twin stitch there. And you'll see that there's a twin stitch there. Okay, so now what you want to do is you're going to slip that first stitch, and then you want to just knit all the way around, okay? Just slip it, and you're just going to knit all the way around, and then when you get to that twin stitch on the other end, you're going to knit those two together and knit your way around to the other side. Knit the two stitches together. Knit that one. Again, you can pull on that one a little bit. And then just work your way around. We're going to do one more row, and then we're ready to start our main front of the foot. Okay, we've reached the end here, and you knit that, and then you'll be doing one more row, which is knit that last twin knit over, and then do another round, and then you're ready to start counting your rows. Okay, at this point you're ready to start working stockinette rounds, just rounds of knit, round and round and round you go. And the number of rows that you will be doing for that in our math was number F, okay, and number F is the number of rows you will do after you do your toe. And for me, number F was 36 rows, okay, because I'm going to do 4 rows because that number E is kind of number of rows you're going to do of a rib stitch just at the part where you're going to decrease. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to pause the video and go ahead and do your 36 rows or however many rows F shows up to be. And as you can see, I have already done that. And if you already know the Kitchener Tighten, you can go ahead and do your Kitchener Tighten, and it can look like this. Or if you want to wait until the end of the video to see how to tighten your Kitchener cast on, you can. At this point, I'm going to show you what your next 4 rows are. Okay, so pause your video and get your rows done of number F. Okay, and when you come back, we're going to do number E rows of a particular thing. Okay, and I'm going to show you what that is. All right. So my actual starting point is right here. Okay. And remember, we calculated half of the loom. Okay, well, I'm calculating how to decide how I'm going to decrease off by using half the loom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I'm going to purl knit 10 pegs. Alright, so that number E, that number, what is it? B? Yeah, this number B is going to show up a lot in this section because you've just knitted 10. Then you're going to purl knit 10 pegs. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, that's 10 pegs of a 1x1 ribbing, and then you're going to knit your 10 to finish this half of the loom, and then you're going to knit your way around the other side. Alright, so, and this will be 1 row of this, and because we're doing the number E of total rows like this, keep that in mind. So this is the first row like this. Alright, I'm going to work my way around. Okay, and I've finished this round. Now, I'm going to start this round again. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and then I'm going to purl knit 10 pegs. Alright, purl knit 2, 3, 'and purl knit your way over. So what is that? And one more. 9, 10. Okay, then you can just knit your way around. And you're going to do this for a total of 4 rows. Now, if you want your ribbing to go a little past, you can go an extra 2. You can do an extra 2. Okay, on each side, and that will extend it. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video and complete the total number of rows you need to be doing like this. So keep in mind you're using number B and number E for this section. Number B is you're working in your thirds, and there's a reason why you're working like this, where you're not just automatically doing it, because you want to keep that center to your toe. Alright, so go ahead and pause the video and complete your total of rows. So I'm going to complete 2 more rows, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how to configure the decrease, the actual bind off section, which starts to open the sock up and make it more of a ballet, because then you're going to be working flat from here on out. Alright, so again, keep in mind when you go to work those last 4 rows after you do number F, you're going to be doing 4 rows, which is of number E. So number E tells you how many rows you're going to be doing after you do number F. Alright, then you're going to divide the loom in half like number A. Okay, so number A, you're going to be looking at half your loom, and you're going to be using number B as your calculator. So you're going to do 10 and then rib stitch 10 and then 10 and then knit your way around. Okay, and you know you're going to do that for number E of rows, so whatever that number was, which is 4. So it depends on whatever number E is for you. So go ahead and pause the video and complete that, and then we'll go to the next section. So what we're to next is we're to our bind off section, okay? And we are going to kind of go ahead and start doing a garter stitch on our sides after. So we're gonna calculate that in, and we're going to be binding off 10, which is your number B. Okay. So what you want to do is, if you want to put a stitch marker out, okay, where you have your 10 that you're planning on casting off, so you count 10 from your starting point, and then you place a stitch marker on those 10 that you're fixing to bind off. You'll have an idea of what you're doing, and then when you get to the last 4 on the edges of those 10, then you know you want to go in and do your number E, which is your garter stitch. So you're going to start off with a purl. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I know that I'm going to need to knit 6, because 4 is, 6 plus 4 is 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now I'm going to purl 4. So this is number E. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I'm going to be binding off the next 10 stitches. So I'm going to knit 2, take that first stitch back, that second stitch back 1, toss the bottom loop over, and move that stitch over. Knit the next peg, take that back 1, toss the bottom loop over, and move it over. Knit the next stitch, take it back 1, toss the bottom loop over, move it over. Knit the next stitch, take it back 1, toss the bottom loop over, move it over 1. You can do this for however many your number B is, okay? Everything's divided into thirds on this. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 are empty, and when I move that over, that just so happens to be my last peg, and so I know I'm not going to be purling 4 exactly, I'm just going to be purling 3, because that'll represent the 4 pegs, okay? So 2 and 3, and that'll represent my 4 pegs. So 4 pegs we need to keep in mind are going to be a garter stitch on these ends. Now, keep that in mind. Okay, to finish the row off, you're going to knit your way over. Okay. And while this has normally been your starting point right here, your new starting point, you're going to go past this, you're going to go ahead and knit past this and knit to your end, all right? And this peg here is your new starting point, and you've just knitted all the way around. Remember, we're doing a garter stitch edge. Okay, so we just knitted that. Now what we want to do is, if you want it easy to, say, slip a thread of elastic through after the sock is done, then I would suggest doing this, okay, where you slip that first peg. If you don't, you can purl the 4, but slip that, and then I'm just going to purl 3, or I could go ahead and purl 4 if I want, okay. But if you want to add elastic to the end, and while I am using stretch, it may need elastic. I don't know. It depends on how it wears, all right? So the thing to keep in mind is you're always going to start with a purl and then knit your way around. Start with a purl and knit your way around, okay? And at this point, we're starting the second half, which is going to be number D. And I wrote down 40. And so I'm ready to do 40 rows of this, where I slip it, and you can either purl 4 and knit your way around, slip it, purl 4, knit your way around, and you just do this for 40 rows, okay? And you're keeping in mind that you're doing 4 on the end. Now, if you want the garter stitch to go a little further, you can. That's up to you. Because I'm slipping that first one, I may want the garter stitch to go an extra. So I'll go ahead and slip 1 and purl 4 and knit my way around, okay? And it's a repeat for 40 rows, okay? So then you're just going to knit back and forth for 40 rows, and then you should be ready to start your heel. And the heel is a little different than average. It's not going to be just do the heel and then do a rib stitch. It's going to be a little different, okay? And I'll explain how that is, all right? So go ahead and pause the video and get your however many rows of D done for the rest of your instep section, okay? And then we'll be ready to do our heel, which is going to be on the opposite side of the loom that we did the toe, okay? That's something else to keep in mind. And I knitted my way to the end, because remember, you're keeping a garter stitch edge all the time. Alright, so I'm going to be slipping 1 on here, purling 4, and knitting my way around. And I'm going to keep doing that for a total of 40 rows. That's what I had for D. So whatever D is what you're going to be doing that. And keep in mind that E is where you're going to be giving yourself an edge, so it isn't going to curl when it's done. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and get the bulk of your instep done. And then where we'll be going from there is we're going to do another kiss or fish lips heel, something similar to it. And then the heel is going to be done a little differently. Just to kind of give you a hint of how it's done, is you're gonna use half the loom, and you're gonna decrease down on the other half, okay, naturally, because that's the half you can work with. But when you increase out, you're going to be increasing all the way around to here, over on your very ends, because that's going to give you a little lift where it goes completely over the back side of the heel, okay? And so keep in mind, you're going to decrease, you're going to use half your loom, you're going to decrease down, but when you go to increase out, you're going to increase out to where you normally would, and then you're going to go past and all the way to your ends. And then when you get down to like the last 4, or you can do more than this, the last 4 pegs that would have 4 rows of a rib stitch, you're going to do a rib stitch for those, and that's going to kind of finish off your heel, is to kind of give you an idea of what's coming. So go ahead and pause the video, and if you're doing 2 socks at a time, get them both up to where they need to be, and then we will go from there. So what I'm probably going to do is get this one up to where it's to the decrease, it's already decreased down, and this one up to where I'm ready to show you the decrease, and then I'll show you how to increase from this one, and so that we can keep this progression of the tutorial going faster, since I've got to get this book out in September. So got to move a little faster than I've been moving. So go ahead and pause the video, get yourself up to par, and I'll show you the rest. Okay, so I've completed the main part of my foot, okay, and now I'm ready to start the heel. Now, if you already know how to do the Kitchener, you can go ahead and tighten your cast on. This is what it's going to look like when it's done, but I'll show how to do that a little later. As you can see, we have that garter stitch edge, that 1x1 ribbing here, and now we're going to do the heel. And the heel is a little bit different than the normal, because you want it to, when you do a normal short row heel and then you do the increase, it doesn't quite go, but maybe not even halfway up the heel, the back of the heel, and you need to go more up the back of the heel. I'm going to show you how to do that. So what we need to do is we need to get set up to do our decrease, okay, and we're going to do the kiss decrease, and we're going to go about it a little differently when we go to do our increase, okay. So I've already done my decrease over here, and ready to show you how to do the increase. So I'll show you that in a minute. So what we're going to do is, you should have ended like over here, and you're going to slip that first one, and you're going to purl 4. You're going to keep with that garter stitch edging as much as possible. And then you're going to knit all the way around to your halfway point, which is over here. So you're going to stop here, and then we'll do a twin knit. So you're just going to knit your way over, because we're doing the back half for the heel, okay? Okay, now we're ready to start short rowing down, and we're still doing our kiss, so we need to do a twin knit. So we're going to pull that previous stitch over, pull that working yarn in front of that peg, and put the stitch back. Alright, then we're going to slip that and then work our way around to the other half, and you're going to basically be decreasing down exactly like you did the toe. You're just going to be doing it on this half of the loom. Your increase will be a little differently than you might expect, okay? So you're going to work your way over. To your halfway point. I'm going to show those down. And here's your halfway point. Pull that previous stitch back. Send the working yarn in front, and place it back. Slip and work to the other side. And you continue this process until you are down to your number B of pegs, okay? Which for me is 10. I'll show you a couple of more decreases, and then I'll tell you to go off on your own and finish that. And then we'll explain the next part. Okay. this over here, and we need to pull that previous stitch back one, put that working yarn over, and then place it back. And you should have 2 stitches sitting on there. Alright, so now you're going to knit your way over to the other side, twin knit, and you're going to twin knit down to 10 single stitches, just like you did the toe. It's just going to be on this side of the loom rather than on the other side, which is why I don't do things all cockeyed, because you want to be able to keep up with things, okay? Alright. Now go ahead and pause the video and complete that much, and then you'll be ready to do your increase. Okay? Okay, we're ready to do our increase. We have our 10 stitches, single stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now normally we would pause and go back this direction when we completed our 10, but we're actually going to continue on around. So you'll have done the twin knit over here and done knit 10 over, and now you're going to knit all the way around here. Okay, so you're going to knit 2 together 10 times, and then knit all the way around to your beginning. Okay, now you're going to slip that first peg. You're going to purl 4, or however many your number E is. And then you're going to knit your way around all the way to the other side. And then you're going to be knitting those 2 stitches over on your twin knit. Alright. And then knitting your way around to the other side. Alright, now you're going to be ready to start your increasing, okay? So what you want to do is slip that first stitch, go ahead and purl your 4. Okay, and to figure out how to do your increase, you want to get to your halfway point on the back, okay? So for instance, this is our halfway point on the back. Alright, we're going to count from here. We're going to count over 10, which is our number B. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Then we're going to count over 10 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you find your halfway point, and then you want to take your number B and do it twice, and then you're going to twin knit the next stitch. So pull it back, send the working yarn in front, and do it that way. Then you're going to slip that peg and knit 10 over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Then you're going to twin knit. Then you're going to slip, and then work your way back over, and you're going to knit 10, and then you're going to knit those twin stitch is together. Alright, there, knit your 2 stitches together. Then you're going to do a twin knit on the next peg. Okay. Then you're going to knit 11, and you're just going to continue going on outwards. Okay, and when you reach your halfway point, you're just actually going to keep going. All right, knit your twin, knit together, and then you want to bring the next stitch back, the working yarn in front, place it back. Now you want to do this all the way out to your halfway point, and then you're going to continue until you get to the last 2 pegs to twin knit on each side. And at this point you're going to be doing a rib stitch, okay, or you're going to be getting to where you're down to your number E pegs. Okay, so for me, I'm getting down to my last 4, which is 2 on each side that I would be wrapping and turning. And that tells me I'm ready to do a rib stitch to that tells me I'm ready to do a rib stitch. Okay, so I'm going to tell you to pause the video and get yourself up to at least the halfway point. Okay, and then I will show you from there how to go on from there. Okay, so get yourself to here, and then I will show you the rest of the way, which is going to build up the back of the heel. And no, you can't do the decrease from the start down. That messes up the whole length of your sock. You really need to do the decrease like normal, and then your increase all the way out, and it goes up the back of the heel, the entire heel. Okay, so pause the video, get to your halfway point here, and then we will go from there. Okay, as we can see, I've reached my halfway point with my twin knit here and my twin knit here. And what I'm ready to do is continue that twin knit concept where I knit the 2 together, then I take the previous stitch, pull it back, twin knit, put it back down, knit my way over, and I'm going to do this until I'm down to my number E of pegs left to do a twin knit with. So when I'm down to a total of 4 pegs, which will be 2 on the ends, then I will change over and do a 1 by 1 rib stitch. Okay, so go ahead and continue this process of increasing until you're down to your number E of rows that you will be, number E of pegs that you will be left to twin knit, and then I will show you how to go about that from there. So go ahead and pause the video and continue increasing until you're to your number E of pegs. Okay, and then I will show you how to go about it from there, which means we're getting very close to done, and then we'll be binding off, and then I'll show you how to do the pull for the Kitchener cast on. Okay, there's my last twin knit, and you'll see 2 single stitches on that side, my last twin knit, and 2 single stitches on that side. Now, I'm ready to knit that twin stitch together. Okay, and then I'm going to knit those 2 stitches together, then I'm going to do a twin knit. Okay, and then I'm going to slip, and here's where you want to keep up with your knit and purl. So I'm going to do knit, purl all the way around to the other side, and This will be my last 4 rows, and then I'll be ready to bind off. So I'm going to knit, purl all the way around. Okay, and then you get to that twin knit, and you're going to knit those 2 together. Then you're going to twin knit, slip, and that last one, so that you know, would have been a purl. So now we're going to purl it, alright? And that's how we're going to keep up with our knit. But you want to keep up with your knit and your purls, okay, in order to have a nice 1 by 1 rib stitch. So you're going to work your way around. Okay, so I've gotten down to the last edges, and so that's where it gets a little tricky. And I'm just going to gently, and I mean gently, when you start getting into those last ones, you really want to be gentle about your tugging. Trying not to pull on that next stitch. And you just keep pulling. And then you're getting down, and then that's where you just gently want to tug to find out what loop you're looking at. Okay. And pull that, and then I think I'm ready. Yeah. You pull until you think you're ready to pull your tail. There. Here we go. And that's how you tighten your Kitchener. Snip the end, pull it through. Alright, so that is how you go about making a ballet sock. And now you see how that is done. Now, what you may notice is that we've worked it where there is a chain all the way around the edge of the sock. Now, what this does is it gives you an opportunity, if you so wish, to go in and add elastic all around the edge. Alright, a thin thread of elastic, and that'll help stay on. But as you can see, after going in and doing your basic heel and then continuing up, you have it where it's actually going to hit all the way at the top of the heel, and that is how you go about doing a ballet sock. So that's just some basics on how to go about it and using the formula. It is the most challenging of the socks because you are working flat for half of it, but you get a really nice result when you're done.